receivers. Ole Miss really kind of tagged in pretty good in the secondary. I think it'll be a closer game, but I'd be shocked if Ole Miss didn't end up winning this game. I just think they're the better team. They have more talent. They're more physical. And I think in these situations, as we get into the playoffs, the more physical team wins. And that's Ole Miss at this point. But I think it'll be closer than it was the last time. It couldn't be any worse if it was Tulane. But, it's unprecedented territory, for both teams, but especially Tulane. When you think about the run they've had over the last 4 years, where this program was and then where it is today.
Good morning, everybody. We are here to discuss the essence.
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
What Willie Fritz built a couple years back, and, he leaves to go to Houston. And I get asked this a lot, on shows across the country about what team you think could be the next Texas Tech. And I always tell them Houston. Players in that area, and it's real close, man. They got a ton of them in the Houston area. And Willie Fritz is a tremendous coach, but what John Summerall did is just remarkable. It's rare that you have a coach with that type of kind of setup, how he built this team, the success he had the last couple of years he was here at Tulane, and then to have somebody sort of trump that and rebuilding each year. That's why I think a lot of Florida fans were upset with John Summerall. I think a lot of it had to do with Billy Napier, with a somewhat similar background. Billy was much more on offense. John's much more on the defensive side, but their makeup as a head coach is quite different. I don't see how he doesn't have great success at Florida, but it's been a great run to cover Tulane for the last 5 years. I really couldn't say that for any other period of time because it's been sort of a stock market run for them where they will have a good season and then it kind of hit the low and then up and down, up and down. The consistency of Tulane is remarkable. And to get into the playoff 12, just great run by Summerall.
Were you surprised that they promoted Will Hall, Mike D?
Yes. I thought they'd go outside the sort of Tulane family to hire a head coach. And I think for a lot of people, the question mark is, and I know Will has tried to, because we had him on last Thursday, and he's tried to somewhat put some distance between, things happened at Southern Miss, and I was successful before, and that is true, but it is part of your record, why it came apart at Southern Miss. And so I was a little bit surprised. I thought they would go with a coach that had some success before at another school and try to duplicate what they did with Summerall. But they stayed in house with Will, and I think he's a really good offensive coach. Really do. As a head coach, that's a different matter. Some people don't handle the big room well. They can handle the smaller variety of one thing at a time, but the big room is difficult. So I was surprised there. But they do have money. They do have resources at Tulane, and they're one of the first teams that really embraced the NIL transfer portal. And they set up a program here from a fundraising standpoint and really were one of the few, I think, teams that got on that really quickly, understanding the ever-changing world of college athletics, that you just can't build through high school recruits. You have to be able to go out and bring in people from other schools with experience and fill in need spots because you're going to lose them. Look what happened to Tulane last year. They lost their star quarterback in Darian Mensah to Duke. He leads them to an ACC championship. Their star running back, Mekhi Hughes, left to go to Oregon. That did work out for him there, and he's back in the transfer portal. They lost their starting tight end in the transfer portal. And then 4 of their top 5 receivers graduated, and and I think of their 5 top defensive backs who all left. 4 of them are in the National Football League, either on 53-man rosters or on practice squads.
Wow.
And so he told me the story that when they started working out before the spring, he got the team to buy these pullover shirts with names on the back. He said, we had so many new people, I want to make sure I called them by the right name.
Love it. I love it. Mike Detillier, WWL Radio New Orleans. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. This is 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Tulane at Ole Miss this weekend, college football playoff game. Ole Miss is laying 17.5. Mike, what was the reaction when it broke yesterday or the day before where John Summerall donated $100,000 to Tulane's NIL?
Let me just say I was sort of tipped off about it. But, a lot of people, John Summerall has been great for the community. He's always out and about. He is someone who he's not just coaching. He understands that here in Louisiana, just like it is in Mississippi, to be out with the fans and to be part of the community matters, because we all part of a small community down here in Louisiana or in Mississippi, even Alabama, same way. And I think he understood that. And he's always been one to give back. He's always been someone who he's great one-on-one, talking to people. But I think he always feels like there's something I need to give back. And that is something come across, since we've talked about it, to give back to the community. So great spot for him. He would have done it no matter what. Remember just a year ago, Brian Kelly gave $1 million to LSU.
Well, that worked out. They gave him 52 to leave or whatever it was.
So, hey, that's a pretty good deal, right? Because I think at this time, Brian didn't have that sort of sense about him, about community, and that it's smaller here and you got to get yourself involved. And either someone told him or it came to him that, hey, you better get yourself involved with the community. And he did I do give him credit. He did give back $1 million. And I think with Summerall, he's always been open to do things. I've never been around a head coach who's been this successful and been this open from a media standpoint and also from the public view standpoint. Very few guys are like that. And he's unique with it, but he understands this is a different world in which you live in. And we all getting adjusted to it because of the fact that if you think it's going back to your grandpa's days and your daddy's days of you and them watching college football together and that's how it's going to be, no, it's changed. And it's not going back. You're not putting that genie back in the bottle.
No.
I think he understood that as a young coach, and that's why I think Florida will have great success and very quickly with John Summerall.
I agree. And hiring Brad White as a defensive coordinator, they had already connected. Summerall had hired him at Kentucky. But hiring Brad White as the DC at Florida is a home run. That combo of Summerall and Brad White is probably the best combo in the league. And then he hired Faulkner from Georgia Tech, and he's made some other good hires. So we're live in the Bank Plus studio. Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds show, brought to you by Sound and Communications. Your next video wall for your business or school, powered by soundcomav.com. Mike D, Eddie O. Is Eddie O going to join the Lane Kiffin staff? What do you think is going to happen here?
We've talked, and I think, him and Lane have had a couple conversations, but he has not been offered anything. So I do know one thing: he wants to coach again, and he made it pretty clear over the weekend that he is going to coach again. But so what I think happens here is that he's got a job, but he's really waiting to see if something doesn't open up at LSU. I think he's got a job offer he would take, but he's waiting to see.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's back in Louisiana and he's living back in Baton Rouge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was living in South Florida with the Twins who were coaching at Miami of Florida, and but he is living back in Louisiana in Baton Rouge. So we'll see what happens with that. So far, no offer from Lane Kiffin. We've talked about this before. Him and Lane, I mean, they were as close could be before. But you know, this is a term. I had an old boss years ago tell me this. He says, everybody wants to bring the band back together until they think about what the band did together.
No doubt. No doubt.
So you can piece that one together real quick.
Didn't Ogeron coach Cristobal when he was at Miami, Mike D?
He sure did. And, he's got some great stories with Mario. And I think Mario wanted him on the staff at one time. And, that would be a crazy deal, too, because Ed coached for Jimmy Johnson and Dennis Erickson at Miami of Florida. He, with both coaches there. And so, he did coach Mario, and I know Mario reached out to him to be like a consultant to him to kind of watch over practices and stuff like that, and kind of how they did things to recruit. Because, you think about that run the Hurricanes had, I would say 80% of that was guys from that one little area that they were recruiting from. Because I know Ed would always say you could kind of draw a circle within 125 miles, and that's where they were getting the vast majority of their players. And they sort of lost that. They really did. And, every coach has a different way of recruiting, because he would always laugh at me about you sort of like Jimmy, in that my thing about recruiting linemen is unless I can get a great center or a great guard, I'm all about accumulating tackles, because tackles can play guard. Most of the time, a guard can't play tackle. If he's inside at the high school level, he's not going to project to playing tackle. And that was Jimmy's idea. Okay, if you can find a great center or a guy who was terrific at the guard, let's get him. But let's go after tackles, and then we can move them around a little bit. And so it was all, and I think Mario's all about size and speed. That's his deal. He wants a big man that's got some movement skills. And so you can see it has paid off over the last couple of years from Miami of Florida. Hasn't gotten them into the top 12, but up until what they did this year. But I think Cristobal's got a good angle, because he knew that area very, very well. And Ed knew it really, really well. Same thing in Louisiana. I mean, Ed can recruit. He's one of the best recruiters in the country. He sat out a few years. His battery is all charged up, and he's ready to go. But we'll see what happens with him. I do know he wants to coach, and he's made it clear that he will coach somewhere in 2026.
All right, Eddie O. And you feel like he'll be on the field or possibly in-house paid at a high level analyst too?
That part I can't tell you, because that part he's kind of kept kind of tight to the vest with certain things. Okay. But all I know is people who, and we've had him on, I think like 3 times within the last 2 months. And we get responses that's unreal, because the good thing about him is you ask him a question and he runs with that like Barry Sanders would run an open field.
Yes.
Man, he can tell stories, and he got them. I mean, and you think about those teams that he coached at Miami of Florida, then seeing what happened with USC with Pete Carroll and the great success they had there. Things weren't successful for him at Ole Miss as a head coach. And then, he has another run with Kiffin 1 year at Tennessee and then back at USC. And then, being able to get the head coaching job at LSU and with all those players in that 2019 season, man. So, you just ask him a question and you sit back and you're going to get quite an answer.
Yeah, that was funny last week when he was on a show and he talked about he and Tuberville as GAs buying KFC and a case of beer and fighting over the white meat.
That one I've heard before, and man, to think about both those guys are roommates, and Tuberville's now with a senator, kind of how, that their lives are so different. That's why you just never know in life. But he had always told me, I think one day Tuberville's going to be a politician. And this was long before, Tommy got into the political world. Ed made that comment to me. He said, hey, I lived with him all that time as roommates. I wasn't making no money. He said Tommy was making a little bit, but I wasn't making much money. And he had made that comment that I think one day Tuberville's going to end up being a politician. Sure as hell he was right.
We'll leave it there. We'll hit Tyler Shuck and the Saints next week. I was at the game on Sunday, back-to-back, 2 wins in a row for the Saints. And I know Mike D does. I think they've hit on a QB. And so.
No thinking, Bo. No thinking anymore. They've hit on one.
All right.
They've hit on that quarterback. And the next 2 weeks, they play the Jets and the Titans.
Oh, wow. That could be 2 more wins. All right, Mike D, have a great week, my man.
Thank you, brother.
Merry Christmas, buddy. Mike Detillier, he'll join us next Tuesday, right before Christmas. Yeah. Is that right? I think I've got that right. I'm kind of confused with the travel. But we are the Out of Bounds show. I'm not confused about this. Lunch today at Burgers Blues Barbecue, B3, Dogwood, Flowwood. They got blue plates. They got delicious burgers, smash burgers, unbelievable barbecue, pulled pork nachos, B3, Burgers Blues Barbecue, Dogwood, Flowwood.